Welcome to our January WebEx presentation addressing the differences between American Red Cross CPR AED training and the American Heart Association training. Your presenters for this WebEx are Beth Kirshner and Mandy Estel. This presentation should help you as instructors address questions you may be asked about the differences between these two CPR certifying organizations, what skills are covered in each, and how to discuss the differences with our customers and clients. For instructor trainers, this should help clarify what skills may need extra attention and coaching for instructor candidates who come to your instructor classes with an American Heart Association certification.
In 2013, the American Heart Association and the American Red Cross issued a joint statement acknowledging the validity of and recognizing each other's CPR and AED training. This reciprocity document is available on Instructor's Corner for you to review or to download for your records. As you can see, the link is provided on the slide, or you can easily find it yourself by searching Instructor Corner. Let's highlight some of the similarities. Both organizations develop guidelines and training materials that are scientifically valid, so all students receive training and education that is based on the most current science. Both organizations' CPR educational programs are consistent with the recommendations in the 2010 International Consensus on Cardiopulmonary Resuscitation, CPR, and the ECC, Emergency Cardiovascular Care Science with Treatment Recommendations, the most current and comprehensive review of published resuscitation literature. The American Heart Association and the Red Cross share a common vision to improve outcomes after cardiac arrest by providing the education and supporting the continued and increased funding of CPR and resuscitation research.
Both the Heart Association and the Red Cross make use of mnemonic phrases to help cement the training steps into the minds of their participants. Let's look at the differences between the mnemonics used and how and where they apply. The American Red Cross uses ABCs to make the steps for consistently assessing the condition of an unconscious or unresponsive victim easy to recall. A for airway. Do we have the airway open? Open the airway with the head tilt, chin lift, or in C-Pro, a jaw thrust. B, breathing. Taking 10 seconds or less to carefully determine if the person is breathing. C for circulation. In lay CPR, we can scan the entire victim for other conditions, most importantly bleeding. In C-Pro, we assess pulse as well. The American Heart Association uses CAB. This mnemonic is a memory tool for AHA's treatment steps and is cardiac emergency driven. CAB denotes circulation, airway, and breathing.
Now let's look at the rationale between the two approaches to training. The American Red Cross was founded by Clara Barton and a circle of her acquaintances in 1881, and it's an organization dedicated to helping people in need. Preparedness and Health and Safety Services, PHSS, is one of the 5 key service areas and has multiple focuses on caring for life-threatening injuries and illnesses. To start with, it has a more patient-centered approach, and it's assessment-based, and it's designed to provide the best care for the individual, which may include more than cardiac or respiratory arrest. The American Heart Association was founded by 6 cardiologists in 1924, and it's an organization with a singular focus to fight cardiovascular disease and stroke. It's very public health approach-oriented, care for the masses. Cardiac arrest is assumed until proven otherwise.
There are 3 key differences in the American Heart Association CPR training and the Red Cross CPR training. We will address these differences individually in a moment. Knowing them will help you to better explain the Red Cross training when you have a participant who has previously only been trained by the Heart Association. The American Red Cross First Aid app also has a section explaining these differences. Be sure to recommend our app to your participants. It increases our reach and your own training reach. We can enable more lives to be saved through the distribution and use of free Red Cross apps. Now for the skills differences to note.
The American Red Cross training consists of a series of back blows and abdominal thrusts. Science has shown a combination of these two skills to increase response effectiveness. At the Red Cross, we practice this combination of skills, both to confirm understanding of proper positioning and to practice the transition between the two techniques. The Heart Association teaches abdominal thrusts only, their rationale being that it is easier to remember only one skill. Students watch a video demonstration but don't practice the skill. Note that the skills for choking infant are the same for the American Red Cross and for the American Heart Association.
Now look at the differences for assessing the unconscious victim. In the American Red Cross training, we check for responsiveness as part of our 3 C's, check, call, care. Now, of course, your call for 911 goes here as soon as you realize you have an unresponsive person. Then we teach a skill to open the airway. We practice the move to make sure our participants know how, so there's no hesitation in responding. Once the airway is open, we do our 10-second signs of life check for breathing. Well, then we begin CPR as appropriate with compressions, as does the Heart Association. The Heart Association checks for responsiveness, then checks for breathing and signs of life. It doesn't stop to teach the head tilt 10 lifts. As part of the American Red Cross Comprehensive Assessment, we include head tilt chin lifts and checking for bleeding.
As you can see here, in pediatric cases with the possibility of drowning, the American Red Cross maintains the necessity of giving 2 breaths or ventilations before starting CPR with compressions. The Red Cross rationale is because of the probability of hypoxia, the lack of oxygen, in the cases of both drowning victims and children with possible breathing emergencies as the cause. The American Heart Association simplifies and shortens the training by going straight to compressions in all cases. CPR is continued in both the American Heart Association training and the Red Cross teaching with 30 compressions and 2 breaths, repeated with the correct timing and to the correct depth until one of the 5 reasons why we should stop occurs. I know you know the reasons. Of course, you see signs of life, the scene becomes unsafe, another trained responder takes over or EMS arrives and takes over, an AED is ready to use, or you are completely exhausted and unable to continue.
We hope that this helps you clarify training differences between the American Heart Association and the American Red Cross. Remember that we are all out there to save more lives. This is training 2 of 3 for the January 2015 WebEx series. Your attendance code for this training is new. We thank you for attending and enjoy the next segment. Happy New Year.